Hey folks, Jeff here at Backcountry, and I want to thank you for joining us here on the channel today. Today we're talking about another product. Keep in mind, all the products we review, we don't get paid for it. These are just things that we buy and we share our opinion as we go along. So on this particular product, I've been crawling around on this cold cement floor for a while every time I'm up here because I've got a flat creeper at the house, but I don't have a creeper here. So when I need to get under the truck or whatever, yeah, rolling around on that cold concrete, and it's dirty, can get to be kind of a pain. So I decided, hey, I need to get another creeper. So I got one here. And as I got to looking at creepers, I saw that, wow, there's a lot of different kinds out there and a lot of different prices on them. They can get really expensive. Well, I don't want to spend a bunch of money on just something I'm going to lay down on and roll around on the floor. So what I looked for was both cheap and effective. I needed it to do the job. And of course, the more jobs it'll do, the better. So here's what I came up with. This here is listed as a 40-inch foldable creeper seat. So it's a flat creeper that can also fold up into a stool that you can roll around on as well. So I thought, wow, two birds, one stone, that's pretty convenient. So I like the idea. Searching around for them, the best deals I could find were on eBay. And of course, they are all made in China. So there's a certain quality that we expect right there as soon as it says made in China. We're not expecting this to be the best, but when I said cheap, I ain't kidding, cheap. I paid about $43 for this. And so we can go into the best way to get deals on these things. Go out on eBay, search for, I think Z Creeper was about the easiest way to find it. And 40-inch, because there's also some 36-inch models. I went for the big one, go big or go home. So the 40-inch model, Z Creeper, do a bunch of searches, sort them out by price plus shipping, lowest first, etc. Do the little filter thing. And then just start from there, look for the cheapest ones, and look for ones that say make offer. And then go ahead and make some offers. Throw some offers out there. They're either going to say yes, no, or just ignore you. Most of the time they just ignore you. But you never know, you might get lucky and get them to accept it. So I threw out an offer, 43 bucks, and they accepted it. You can find other ones that'll do the same. And so 43 bucks for creeper compared to what else is out there, I thought was fair enough. So let's see what this thing looks like. The good news out of the gate is that the cardboard is the quality type. You know, there's two types of cardboard that you see out of China, and to me, that cardboard is an indicator of the quality of the product. So when you get that really cheap stuff that it's all tore up, it couldn't even survive shipping, then you need to be concerned right out of the gate. This did survive shipping. Very few little scratches to the cardboard from shipping, but overall, like I say, this is the stronger, more durable cardboard. So that's a good sign. As far as what it says on the box, 40-inch foldable Z Creeper seat, 330 pound for creeper, 260 pound for the seat. So if you weigh more than 300 pounds, don't sit on the stool, or 260 pounds actually. I think we're gonna be okay with that because I've lost a lot of weight. Let's see, the seat, it says 54.5 by 40.5 by 48 centimeters. Yeah, the creeper 102 by 40 by 14 centimeters. So all I know is 40-inch. All the measurements here are metric, which means pretty much nothing to me. We already talked about the load capacity, 6 swivel coasters for simple mobility, material is steel, effortlessly changed over from creeper to seat for your support comfort. This thick cushioned pads make an agreeable base for simple access and development amid your support assignments. Effortlessly retractable pen to change seat. So yeah, obviously that's written by a Chinese speaker that has studied how to speak English, and they write stuff and usually you read it and you're like, huh? So first thing I'll tell you, pulling it out, this pad is like 1.5 inches thick, and it's wrapped in a vinyl, standard for vinyl creepers, so that's no big deal. But surprisingly, the pad is, thicker than I expected, to be honest. A lot of these Chinese ones you get, they're like, less than 1 inch thick. This is 1.5 inches or so thick, so that's good. As far as the steel goes, I mean, standard. It's about like my other creeper that I've got at the house, so no complaints there. And the challenge now, of course, is how hard is it to put together this IKEA furniture? That's always something I worry about when you get a box and oh my God, I got to put it together. You always wonder how hard is it going to be to put together. And I don't know, I guess we'll see. The instructions, of course, let's see, assembly instruction. Let's read these instructions. We might get a kick out of this, because that's one thing about most Chinese products. The instructions are usually worthless. Connect these 3 sections of foam padded creeper together by 4-piece M8 by 55 hex head bolts and M8 lock nuts. Tighten the M8 hex head bolts and nuts firmly. Install 6-piece swivel casters into the frame of assembled creeper. All right, yeah. So basically bolt it together. As far as how it actually goes, like I say, the instructions pretty much suck. They don't give you a step-by-step, so you kind of gotta be able to look at something and figure it out. Obviously, this piece here is the headrest. This piece here would be, I think, the foot or the bottom end, and this will be the middle end, which is also the swivel. So let's figure out how this goes. Maybe we can look at the instructions and it might tell us something, but I'm gonna guess that it somehow goes, I don't know. Okay, if we say that it sort of fits like that, we do have these locking pins here. Well, at least one locking pin. So I'm going to guess that it bolts together like that, and the picture, I guess, kind of supports that. A funny thing, the picture really doesn't even look like the pieces. The Chinese should work on, hiring some actual Americans to do some of this stuff, American companies to look at their products and try to help them out a little. Or maybe America should get back into the manufacturing business and quit buying so much crap out of China. But they really don't give us a choice, when you look for a product out there. The unfortunate thing is that you can't even find most products Yeah, the instructions are not very helpful. You can't find most products made in America, and then if you do, man, they're so expensive that it's like, yeah, sorry, but the price ain't worth it. So the bottom line, we need to get used to making things back in America again, and not just better quality, but more affordable. Obviously, to do that, we've got to fix our economy first, and we're a long ways from doing that. As long as we got these politicians spending like there ain't no end to the money, we're going to be screwed. So that's enough on that. Let's get back to putting this thing together. These instructions pretty much suck, so best I can tell, I've got 8 washers and 4 bolts. So to me that says put a washer on both ends. The washers don't really fit on the casters, but if you look at the instructions, it actually says that the washers go on the casters, which, yeah, that's doesn't make any sense at all, and like I said, they don't fit. Meaning that on these casters you've got a hex nut that, I don't know, Allen wrench nut that fits into the hole on the deal, and then you screw this into the bottom. It's got a square fitting at the bottom, almost like you would find on a carriage bolt or something. If you put one of these washers on there, it doesn't go down onto that square part. The holes in the frame are not square, so there's no added benefit to that. Now these other ones, they screw into this headrest. There's some that are already threaded here, so they'll just screw in there. So that's fine. It tells you where those 2 casters that don't have the other bolts on them go, and then the rest of them, you know, are going to fit into the frame down here. But like I say, if you try to put a washer on there, it doesn't fit. If you put it on there, it doesn't make sense. So that leaves me to believe that the most logical place for the actual washers are on the bolts that hold this thing together, so that's where we're putting them. Now we've got 2 sets of holes down low on this thing. Well, I guess they're in the middle, and that holds these 2 different brackets together. And those have nylon lock washers on them. They provide a cheap little wrench, but I'm gonna go get a better wrench than that here in a minute to tighten those things down. And then this headrest piece, that fits up here. Now the good news is, you can see on this frame on the inside, there's like a welded washer on the inside of the frame here, and wherever the bolts go through, you can see basically at the top here there's some welded washers, and in the middle piece where it mounts up there's some welded washers, spacers, whatever. So that kind of gives you an idea of where these actual bolts go. So I mean, it's not really that hard to figure out. I'm probably making it look more difficult than it is, but it's just because I'm trying to talk and do this at the same time and actually, you know, put together a real thought as I go. So that's just me making it more difficult than it needs to be. Fortunately, that's just a little bit tight, so it's not that easy to just push that bolt through. I'm having to turn it by hand, but it's going in no problem. So we got it on there. Throw a washer and this nut on the end of it, and we'll call that one at least hand tight. That's all I'm doing with these right now, is just hand tighten them, putting them together. So the basic concept of how this goes together, like I say, not difficult to figure out. Now that one slid right on through, but don't expect the instructions to be helpful, because they really are worthless. They provide no useful information at all. And then trying to put these casters on. Not really difficult. You kind of have to put it on there and then thread the head on through it, and just kind of hold the bearings from turning here with your finger. And they did provide a little Allen wrench to tighten them up, so probably would have been better if there was like a wrench or something that you could hold the caster with, so it doesn't just spin. But overall, it's doable. Of course, these up here, they thread in. The threaded portion is already pressed into the headrest, so that's good. And these actually have kind of a hex head fitting, so I'm guessing I can put a wrench on those and tighten them. But overall, as far as threading them on by hand, not too difficult. Two more casters to put on here. Like I say, just kind of push that through there and thread the cap, whatever you want to call it, on there. Now this one doesn't want to start. There it goes. And like I say, they did provide a little Allen head or hex wrench to tighten these down. The bad thing is that there really isn't a way to hold these other than with your hand, and it's working for the most part. There's always little improvements that can be made. For the price, so far, I think this is okay. Of course, the casters are not high quality casters, so who knows whether they last or not. That's something you can only tell over time. The good news is that casters are easy to replace. You can always buy other casters that are higher quality if you need them, with higher end wheels and the whole bit. And of course, you can even get them that support more weight, and so that would be a way to, you know, improve this down the road if I needed to. But I'll be honest, I've got a cheap creeper at home that I bought, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago, It's made in China, and the quality of it is actually, I'm gonna say, not even as good as this. The padding on it is much thinner. The metal actually is thinner and cheaper than this steel. And yeah, it's a low-end machine, but I've had it for years and years. The casters have held up just fine. So I don't see any reason why this won't hold up fine. So I do need to tighten all these bolts, but I mean, overall, this is the gist. As far as rolling on the table, it rolls just fine. There's no issue with any of the casters or anything. There's a pin right here on the side that you can see. It's got a ring on it, and it's spring loaded. So you pull that pin out, and that allows you to fold this up, and then it's got another little area that that pin will pop back into and latch it just like that. And then you can fold your seat over like that, and that's the stool. So yeah, I like it. Let me grab some wrenches, and I'm going to tighten these bolts up, and then we're going to I don't know, roll this thing around the floor a bit, I guess, and give it a check ride. All right, so we got the bolts tightened up. Now here's a bit of, I don't know, we'll call it Chinese humor. I don't know if that's what they intend or not. They provide this little wrench that, you know, let's be honest, it's just a stamped wrench out of some cheap Chinesium. It's about worthless, but it's a 14mm wrench. And so 14mm is what size fits the bolt. But if you put that 14mm on the nut, guess what? It doesn't fit. It's too big. Worthless. 2 wrenches, 14mm wrench for the bolt, 13mm wrench for the nut, and we got them all tightened. So bottom line there is you do have to have your own wrenches. You know, even a cheap crescent wrench would work better than this cheap thing they give you. As far as the hex head, the Allen wrench that they provided, it did fit and work fine. Quality, like I say, the padding is good. The no issues with the quality of the build. Looking at everything on it, the welds look good. The steel, it's actually a heavier gauge than what I expected. I've got other stuff that's made out of, you know, what I call cheap Chinesium. The steel in this is a higher quality than what I expected. The fitment, everything went together just fine. There was one bolt hole that we had to turn by hand, but it still went together fine. So the area that it was off, it could have just as easily been me, or it could have been the drilling was off just a hair, but not enough to matter. So fitment, everything good. Okay, now I'm having a little problem here. Okay, so I tightened that bolt down, and now I can't pull this pin out far enough to get it to separate enough so that I can fold the chair over, which means I've got to loosen this bolt just a bit so that it comes away from the frame, or I would have to like bend some steel or something, and I don't think that's the problem. I think it just needs a little gap there. Let's see if that does it. That did it. So you can't screw that on tight. You do have to leave just a little bit of space there. And I'll try to get the camera up close and show you that here in a second. Okay folks, this is the gap that I'm talking about. So
I had originally screwed this nut down to where it was tied against this other piece, and then the pin here did not pull out far enough to separate the two. That's as far as that goes out. So then I had to loosen it up, and you got that space right there. So what I think I'm going to do is just put a washer in there to act as a spacer. I don't know that it really makes a difference, but I guess it makes a difference to me. That's just a small improvement that I'm going to make. The bolt is still long enough to where the lock nut is engaged, but you can see here on the other side that I actually put it up tight. Looking from the underside, you know, we could bend this a little bit here, but I don't think that's the answer. So that's one little, I don't know if you'd call it an issue, but area for improvement, I guess. Anyway, that's what we're going to do there.
Overall, 43 bucks compared to, you know, others that go into the hundreds. I mean, yeah, I think this is a good creeper. It does fold into a seat like it's supposed to. I guess what I want to do is sit on the seat and let's see what that feels like. Woo! So the casters roll just fine. The seat is a good height for me at least, but I think it'd be just fine for anybody. And it rolls around just fine. So it feels sturdy. I don't feel no flex in it, even trying to bounce on the seat a little bit. There's no give or anything. It is solid. I like that. And let's put it into creeper mode. Now I don't know that the camera's gonna show me rolling around all the way down here on the floor because I've got it sitting on the tripod, but I do just wanna, okay, laying on it is just fine. And it rolls around fine. So as far as creepers go, I mean, I'm gonna call this a decent one. I don't know that you know, this is high quality, what you'd want in a professional shop, one that you're using it every single day. I just don't know how it would hold up over time. It feels sturdy and everything. Usually what I would worry about in a professional scenario is this vinyl. It would get tore up and everything. I mean, mine at home does have a few spots where, like, I was welding or something and hot slag melted a hole in it, whatever. So I think in a professional situation, probably just the solid hard plastic ones is what they would use more likely, just because they won't get tore up as much, I guess. But for home hobby shop, I think this is just perfect. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a thumbs up at the price. If you can get it for 43 bucks or less, or probably anywhere in that area, that's more than fair. If you just go out and do searches for creepers, you'll see all the varying prices out there. Even Harbor Freight is more than that, I believe, and that's just for a standard creeper. This is a 2-in-1 with the stool, so considering that 43 bucks is pretty comparable to just a standard creeper, that you get this one that folds into a stool as well. I think it's a good deal, but you know, you be the judge. You're the one that's would pay for it and buy one if you wanted one. But I think this is going to work just fine for the things that I do, and it's going to keep me from having to roll around on the cold pavement and give me some nice cushion to lay down and take a nap on. Yeah. So if you've hung out this long on this video, I appreciate you sticking around. Sorry I didn't make it more exciting, but you know, it is what it is. You can only say so much about a Chinese creeper. As always, appreciate you watching. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because you never know what video we'll be putting out next. We put out a lot of different stuff on the Backcountry channel. Take care. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.